Hello, I'm Aniruddha, and my roll number is 2205533. I'm going to be giving a presentation on institutions and economic developments, understanding the Indian states. So, before we dive into the presentation, I'd like to first clarify by what we mean by institutions and why they matter. So, institutions are the rules, systems, and structures that guide how people, businesses, and governments interact. What do I mean? Well, there are two types of institutions, formal and informal. Formal being like laws or policies or organizations that are made by the government uh, to do something, for example, like starting a business. Informal institutions are unwritten norms or traditions that are generally followed by the people. Together, these institutions shape how societies function. For example, traffic laws are a really great example. They're a formal institution with the red, yellow, green, as well as an informal institution with the habit of people following them or not following them. For example, in India, it's not followed, but in the US, it is. So both play the role to ensure smooth traffic. If people don't follow traffic rules in an informal way, that's going to be hard for traffic. And if there are no red lights or green lights, that's also terrible. So, so moving on, why do institutions matter? Well, they matter because of three things. First, they provide incentives. So, good institutions encourage diverse activities like investment. They reduce uncertainty by giving trust to the people that an actual official thing has been implemented by the in country, and contracts and businesses are enforced. Lastly, they foster cooperation, helping people to work together. So now I want to talk about institutions in the Indian context because I think that's really interesting. Um, so each state has different unique formal and informal institutions influencing each state's developmental path because India is so diverse and it has so many states. By comparing these differences, we can see how the quality of an institution impacts an economic performance of a state. So first is governance quality. It is measured by the Public Affairs Index (PAI), as you can see, which is basically fairness. Then we have regulatory quality, which is basically the DPIIT, which is the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, reflecting how easy it is to start a business in a particular state. And then last is corruption and law enforcement. We all know corruption is a big problem in India, but they reveal how fair and transparent the system is. Um, so, as seen by this slide, there's a clear correlation between strong institutions and better economic outcomes. For example, look at this graph between GDP and PAI. So PAI, as I said earlier, is a measurement for how fair a particular institution is and how effective they are administratively, right? So states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Karnataka, all on the top right corner, they have really strong governance and better regulatory environments, and they tend to have higher, better GDPs and better social outcomes. And so I want to take a case study. I have two case studies, in fact, Kerala and Gujarat. But let's start with Kerala. So its institutions focus on health and education and basically social development, and it has really resulted in a high HDI being the Human Development Index. And even though the growth is moderate, the GDP, it definitely has a higher quality of life. So this is reflected in Amartya Sen's capabilities approach, which basically emphasizes a society where people have freedom to achieve their potential by having a good society. So by therefore quality of life, right? And secondly, I had to contrast with Gujarat, which is basically taken a really business growth approach by implementing lots of business-friendly policies. And has been successful in attracting investment and boosting its GDP. For example, the Diamond City being built in Gujarat, and also a really huge office building that was constructed recently. But it still has some challenges in its social indicators, something that Kerala is really good at, like health and education. So there's a very important balance to it, where you're balancing both economic growth as well as social welfare. Um, so now policy recommendations I'd like to make for a better future for better institutions. First is anti-corruption because we all know that's a big problem. Secondly is a reform to the legal and judicial system to improve efficiency, fairness, and turnaround time, even though that's already being done by the CJI by transforming the court cases into digital format. But still, I think there's some work that can be done there. And lastly is targeting investments in health and education because I think India as a country we lag behind in these two key aspects which are really important. A lot of people don't get access to good healthcare, nor do they get access to good education. Um, so wrapping up this really quick presentation, I feel formal and informal institutions are the foundation for economic development. A country is judged by how strong their institutions are, and by strengthening the institutions and balancing growth with social welfare, we can build a more prosperous and equitable India. So just growth and social welfare, not just growth, for example, in Gujarat, and not just social welfare, for example, in Tamil Nadu. I'm really thankful for giving this presentation, and I hope you learned something from it today. Thank you. So Aniruddha Mukherjee 2205533 Economics Assignment Presentation, KIIT University 2024.